अयनेषु च सर्वेषु यथा भागमवस्थिताः भीष्ममेवाभिरक्षन्तु भवन्तः सर्व एव हि.
Now Duryodhana addresses his warriors and says, all of you standing at your allotted posts, defend Bhishma alone. Now why is he so protective of Bhishma? Because Bhishma was a true Kshatriya. A true Kshatriya is one who will not fight a woman. See, in other words, we learn from all these little things. When you are strong, you don't take battle with a weak person. You fight your equals. But that's not what we do. We are all bullies. The bully looks at a weaker person to needle him. Maintain your dignity. Don't fight with people who are weaker than you. So, and Shikhandi was Drupada's son, daughter actually, Shikhandini, who then changed her gender, became a man and was called Shikhandi. Now in Bhishma's mind, he was still a woman, was born a girl, so he would not find Shikhandi. And Duryodhana knew that that was the weak spot. And that is what exactly happened. And this was all Krishna's doing. Krishna engineered it in such a way that when Shikhandi came in front of Bhishma, he dropped his weapons and then Arjuna took over. And Bhishma was lying on a bed of arrows thrown by Arjuna until he was confident that the Pandavas had won and righteousness prevailed in the kingdom. So he knew that he was vulnerable to Shikhandi. The second reason is that the Kauravas had no ideal. And so they had to fall back on Bhishma's courage, valor, uprightness, and sacrifice and service. See, anybody who sacrifices automatically becomes a leader. One of the greatest qualities of a leader, one of the most important qualities is sacrificial nature and service. You take all the true leaders in the world, they are people who think of sacrificing and serving humanity, or at least their people. So, when you have an ideal, it serves to inspire all your soldiers, all your team members, and it also helps to integrate everyone under one banner. That's what happened. See, the same cricket team who went and lost so miserably in England and Australia won the World Cup for us. What was the difference? At that time, they were all playing to win for Sachin. So they're thinking of a higher ideal. They resolved their differences and all came together and played unitedly. And they won. The moment there is no higher ideal, you break down. You know, when Shivaji, during Shivaji's time, the Mughals were attacking Shivaji. And Shivaji's mother was an astute lady. So she had realized that there was one particular fort near Pune that had been taken away by the Mughals. And that was a strategic fort. So she called Shivaji and said, you must win that fort back because otherwise we are in a losing position. Shivaji called, it was a difficult task, so Shivaji called his most trusted lieutenant. His name was Tanaji. It appeared that at that time, Tanaji was preparing for his son's wedding. But he was a loyal soldier. The moment Shivaji called for him, he dropped everything and went rushing to Shivaji. Shivaji said, you have to get back this fort for us. So Tanaji agreed. And he went there with only 50 people. And that fort, which was high up on a hill, had a sheer precipice on one side. And on the other side, it was well fortified by the Mughals. So Tanaji realized there was no way of going from the main access. The only way out was to go up that sharp precipice. So he caught hold of, that's when you have a higher ideal, you become creative. You think of innovative ways of solving problems. So he caught hold of what is it called? Ghorpad is called in Marathi. What is? Anyway, a lizard, which has vacuum pads on its feet. So he tied a rope around it, threw it up. Now they were secure. He and his 50 men went up from that precipice. Now the Mughals didn't imagine that anybody would come up from there. And so that was unguarded. They were guarding the normal access. Tanaji and the Mughal general were both equally matched. And they fought valiantly, bitterly, until both killed each other. Both of them died at the same time. The Mughal soldiers lost heart because their leader was gone. Tanaji's men said, we must get this fort for Tanaji because that was his mission. And they fought bravely, courageously, and won that fort. This is the thing. They had an ideal. They were inspired by Tanaji and his character. And they got together. The forces were integrated. And they achieved the impossible. This is what we must learn. In India, we have neither a higher ideal. Nobody thinks of the country. How many of us think, if I do this, will it benefit the country? Or no? We don't think of it. And that is why India can never come up. Take Japan. Every Japanese thinks Japan first. Next me. Therefore, because they have a higher ideal, they work unitedly. It integrates them all into one force, and they have been able to achieve the impossible. What is Japan? It's a small collection of islands. But the products they make have stormed the world because every worker who manufactures a car believes, I am doing it for the honor of Japan, not that I'm doing a job. How many of us think like that? Forget our nation, we don't think beyond myself. How can we achieve anything? So, you must have a higher ideal that inspires and integrates. Bhishma was one who never thought of himself. His entire life, he worked for the state, for others, as we saw yesterday. He sacrificed his entire life and his happiness for the sake of his father. And throughout, he worked in a spirit of service and sacrifice for the family, for his state, for his people. And therefore, Bhishma had the power to rally the forces around him. And Duryodhana knew that if they lost Bhishma, they've lost the war. Next verse.